Hey guys, it's Nicole from Chronicles of a Crafter. Welcome back. I know my desk is a crazy hot mess, but I just wanted to show you guys some spine dangle techniques. I'm going to be making some spine dangles, and this is what they look like. I'm making them out of book page, scrapbook page. You know, when you take apart a book for a junk journal, you usually have like tons and tons of book pages left over. I try to use up every single thing, every book page, every bit of the book before getting rid of what's left. Usually it's just glue. Here, let me move my ring light out of the way. My ring light actually have a magnifying glass on it, so I was using it to create some of these little tiny charms that go on my spine dangles. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to show you the technique that I use to make this book page spine dangle, or a bead. Basically it's just one large bead, and then we'll get into all of the good stuff. Alright, so first thing I wanted to tell you that yes, I'm using up some old book pages. These are the last few pages of a book that I've taken apart. So there's that, and I'm also using some wire. So this is some really inexpensive DIY wire from, I think I got this at Walmart, and so there's that, and there's this wire as well. But I just wanted to explain to you the wire gauge. So the larger the gauge, the thinner the wire. So the smaller the gauge, the thicker the wire. Like if you think about a car battery, has those two wires that you connect in order to jump your battery. Those are very large. They're usually about a 2 gauge wire or 2 AUG wire. This right here is an 18 gauge versus this thinner one, which is a 26 gauge. And you can see the difference in the thickness of the wire. So the larger the number, the thinner the wire. The smaller the number, the thicker the wire. So we're going to be using this 18 gauge wire because it's fairly thick, and it's easier to wrap and maneuver around. I know my desk is crazy. There's a lot going on here, plenty to see, but let's just start with the book page bead. I'm going to go ahead and cut this down to make one of these, and this right here is about 2 1/4 inch. Oops, sorry, 2 1/4 inches of paper. So as you can see, if you just just cut the edges off the margin all around the book page, you can easily get a lot of writing onto your bead. All right, here, let me try to focus. Okay, so let's do that, and I'll clear some of this stuff out of the way so that we can get started. Okay, I'll be right back. So to begin, all I really did was took a book page, folded it in half. I realized that the margins were even on both sides here, so I just folded my page in half, and I'm going to use my metal ruler and my craft knife to get a nice straight edge. And I'm just going to very carefully remove that margin from both sides at the same time. Okay, and then I'll probably take off a little bit at the top and what's at the bottom. And it helps to get this fairly straight. I mean, it's not absolutely 100% a science or anything. It helps to get it straight enough so that you can roll the book page. And then I'm just going to fold this in half again and use my ruler to tear this away. And there you have it. Okay, so basically what we're going to do at this point is just roll this paper onto itself. And I'm going to get a little dab of glue to get the paper started. I'm going to use my art glitter glue because it dries really quickly, and I just need a little dab of glue along the edge here. Okay. And I'm going to start rolling this page onto itself. You don't want it too flat and you don't want it too tight, because we need to get some wire down that hole. So about that big. You see that? Okay. And I'm just going to roll this all the way up, keeping it straight as possible. And I'm just going to continue to roll it till I get to the end. And you can see some of that pretty writing is going to start coming through. Okay. And there you have it. A nice little roll on that book page. Okay, I'm just gonna open that up a little, make sure I can see all the way down to the bottom. Okay, so there's the bottom. All right, then I'm just gonna take my art glitter glue again, and I'm just gonna run a little bead down inside of here just to get that closed. And I'm using art glitter because it dries really quickly and it does not give you much time to undo your mistakes. So this should dry really fast and hold tight. Okay, and put my pin back in my glue, and then I'm going to ink this. I'm going to ink this little guy right here, this little roll, with I'm going to try some walnut stain. I usually use vintage photo. Sorry for shaking the camera. I usually use vintage photo, but today I'm going to do some walnut stain, and I'm just going to ink around the edges. And this right here is about 2 1/4 inches right there, 2 1/4 inches. So worked out really well that the page had even margins on both sides. And I'm going to ink like just along that fold right there, just to give it some distinction. And there we have it. Here's our book page bead, one and done. Like, took no time at all. So to embellish this bead, we're going to use some wire. There's a number of ways you can do this. There's a couple of different wires that you can use. So let me just grab a few. Depending on the length of your book bead, your page bead, you can probably use one of these. This is a eye pin. It has a little eye at the bottom here. Or you can use one of these straight pins with a flat pin head. Alright, but my page is a little bit too long. You know, those are just different ways that you can wrap wire around a bead. I'm calling this a bead, but in the case like this, where there's an actual bead, you can definitely use one of these and wrap it around, you know, an individual bead. All right, so I'm using 18 gauge wire. I paid 98 cents for this, I believe, at Walmart. It's in their jewelry craft section. Yeah. So I'm thinking I'm gonna need quite a bit to wire wrap around. I'm gonna go with about 12 inches just to be safe. And I'm using my wire cutter. So let's just go ahead and say right about there. Okay, 12 inches should get me plenty of wire to wrap around, and you know, still have lots left over. I'm also using some of my wire tools. So at each end of the bead, I'm going to put a loop so that we can hang things from the bottom. But I'm also going to add a couple of beads to hold the paper in place so that it doesn't fall out. And that's going to look like this. So at the end of this wire, I'm going to probably place a little pretty, let's see, yeah, I'll place a little pretty crystal bead. Okay. Before I do that, I'm going to place one of these little tiny ones here. Whoops. Wait a minute, get over here. All right, this one's not cooperating. Okay, and then I'll place a crystal bead. And then I'll probably place another one of those stoppers, one of these. And yeah, I'll leave it at that. Okay, so now we have this. And you may find that your little stopper may fall down inside your bead, and that's when you can adjust. Okay, so this is not a science. This is all, you know, preference, personal taste. Let's adjust, and I'm gonna place just the crystal bead. Then I'll place one of these stoppers or end thingies, and then I'll place another crystal bead. How about that? And now we have something that looks like that. Okay. After that, I'm gonna take my wire wrapping tool, and I'm just going to twist the wire to give me my own personal eye hook. All right. So that's going to stop those beads from falling off, and also gives me a spot to hang a dangle from. So it looks like so. Where is it? Come on, focus. Focus for me. Okay, you get the idea. All right, so on this end of the wire, I'm going to loop it once, and then I'm going to wrap the entire page with the wire. So here's my one loop, which gives me room to hang something from it. Okay. And then I'm just going to twist. This wire is very soft, so I'm just going to twist this wire all the way around my bead, like so. And okay, and then I will just wrap it around the bottom here. Hope I'm in shot, I'm sorry. And whatever's left over, you can either cut that away or you can tuck it back down inside the bead. I'm just gonna snip it about here. So I've cut off maybe 3/4 of an inch. So I didn't really waste that much of the 12-inch wire that I cut. And I'm just going to use my finger. This wire is super soft, guys. You can wrap it with your finger. You don't have to have expensive tools or anything, jewelry making tools. But what you do want to do is have a good wire cutter so that you don't cut yourself. And there you have it. I now have this really cute spine dangle. Here, I'll zoom you in. Now you have this really cute spine dangle made out of a book page, wrapped in wire, and you can dangle it from the top here. And you can also add additional dangles off the bottom there. So 18 gauge wire is really good to use. Here, let me back you up. It's really good to use in this instance because it's so, well, this craft wire actually is so soft, but 18 gauge wire is really good because It's thick enough to, you know, maneuver and actually use in such this project. All right, so from there I can easily let's see, I'm going to add a jump ring, or actually I can add a lobster claw, which would be really cute. And I'm using gold, guys, because I already know that this is going on my boho butterfly junk journal. So I put a gold eyelet. If you remember from that series, I put a gold eyelet on the spine. And I know that I'm going to be using gold as my accent color. And when you use these jump rings, you want to twist it, you know, from front to back, as opposed to pulling it open from right to left, because you'll break the jump ring, or you'll basically weaken the jump ring's ability to hold. So I just twisted it open, and this is front to back twisting. Okay, so you hold the opening in front of you and you just twist the jump ring from front to back. And I'm going to place this through here, which I'm considering the top. And then to close it, you can either twist it back in place, or I have these little flat edge of my pliers, so I can just press it together and keep it closed that way. So now I have this. All right, really simple. I think let's see, we got time to make another one. Let's do that again really quickly, and I will show you what I'm talking about. So again, I have this other half of my book page. Okay, you can ink it before or after. I think inking it after is best, because you have the whole page at that point rolled up in place. So I'm just going to put a little dab of glue on one side here. Fold this over to get it started. And then just make sure that you have a good opening to start with, so that your wire can get down inside of there. And if not, you can unfold it. It'll unfold up to the glue line, and then you can just roll it a little bit tighter, and just continue rolling. I'm going to put this on the mat so I can get it nice and tight, and then just roll. Okay. And I don't think any two will be alike. And this is actually a lot of paper. Let me just tear this down. I can probably get 2 pages out of this. 2 beads out of this. I'm just gonna guesstimate, tear that down, and glue the edge here. That's what I realized with the last one. It was a pretty thick bead. You can get away with doing a lot less. This is just a wire wrapping tool. I'm just gonna start off this with that. And you can use a barbecue skewer, or, you know, a straw, whatever gets the whole thing started. As you can see with the first one, I didn't have anything. I just used my fingers to start it, and it started off just fine. But if you have like a chopstick or a barbecue skewer, or anything that's almost the same size from top to bottom, will help you start the roll off. And put a little bead of glue on the end, fold that over, so you can see there's a small variation in the thickness of the 2 pages that I rolled up. This one's a lot thicker. This one has a bigger opening because there's less paper in there. So that might be a helpful tool to either start it with something, use less paper, you know, half of a full page or a quarter of a full page, and then start rolling. And then I'm gonna ink it. I'm gonna ink both sides and ink the seam. I just like the look of that, where, you know, the seam comes together. I'm gonna ink it all over on both ends, and then I'm gonna run my wire through it. So this is a same height. It's an inch and 2¼ inches in height, but this one's a little bit smaller, flatter, because of the thickness of the page. Okay, and I'm going to use my wire in here. If you hear my dog barking, I'm sorry. The mail must have been delivered and he's having a fit because he wants to know who's at the door. And then I'm just going to go ahead and cut off. I'm going to use about 11 inches this time. I'm going to run this down the center of my bead, use my wire wrapping tool, and give myself a little eye hook. Okay. Actually, I forgot to put my beads on the end. So let's just pull this out. Okay, I gave myself a little eye hook before I added my embellishments. So for my embellishments, I'm just going to use a couple of gold beads. And I was just checking to make sure that one will fit down in there. I'm going to use my little bead stopper. These things are so tiny. Okay, there's my bead stopper. Here's my gold bead. I'm gonna use a larger bead. This is a nice little jasper bead. Pop that down there. And let's see. I'm gonna go back to a little gold bead, if I can find one. Okay, here's a little gold bead. So you're just making a pattern, guys. I mean, you can put whatever you want on here. This is strictly personal preference. And then I put another bead stopper right there. Then I'll put down my book page bead. And again, depending on the size of your hole, it'll determine what actually goes. So I may have to stop there with just the large jasper. Okay, only because the other beads are falling down inside of the book page, and I don't want that. Now you can wrap it, so you can continue putting on your beads and then just wrap a little bead knot. You know, if your beads are too small, there's 1,000 different ways you can do this. I'm just showing you a couple of methods that I use. So on the other end, I will put a jasper bead. This is at the top part. Okay, and then I'll put this bead, this little gold one, and then I'll put my bead stopper. So I basically just repeated the same thing. I can pick this guy up. Whoops. Oh, I know why Dolce's barking is because the garbage truck. The garbage truck is here picking up the trash out front. He barks at everything. Well, not everything. He barely barks at anything, I should say. But the two things that he does not like at all are the garbage truck, the lawnmower guys when they show up. He does not like the noise that their lawnmowers make. And he barks when there is mail being delivered. So he's probably having a bit of a fit because the garbage truck guys are out front picking up the trash. And I'm just going to finger wrap this because I need to get it started. And here we go. And this is the one time I should have used more wire, but instead I used less. I barely got that all the way down to the bottom. Okay, so again, you got to play with it, figure out what works, what doesn't work, you know, but it's really simple. I mean, so simple. See, I got it right to the edge here. What I would have liked to do is get it wrapped down to the bottom here and, you know, tied it around itself, but this is perfectly fine. It's just a spine dangle, guys. You're not wearing this jewelry, you know, so it won't hurt you unless you're really rough with your books when you take it off the shelf. But it's just a spine dangle, and in most cases there'll be other things hanging from the dangle, you know, other jewelry or, you know, bits and bobs that you have that's pretty to hang off the side. So this is just one part of my spine dangle. So again, I'm going to use my tool to open up the jump ring, and I think I'm going to use it this way. So this will be my bottom of the bead. So technically you're supposed to use two tools. This is how it's done. You hold one end and you twist it. Okay, so this will be my bottom of my bead and this will be the top. Let me just close that up. And there's another one, really simple, easy peasy, guys. I mean, you know, if you have any questions on where to get, you know, anything that I've used here, you can always just leave me a comment down below, and I read my comments fairly often and I try to interact with you guys all the time. So yeah, there's another easy one. I'll show you some of the other ones that I've made in the past. These are all of my bead dangles, or spine dangles actually, and it's just a portion of the entire spine dangle that I'm going to be making. So this is a great way to use up some book pages, and I hope you guys try this project because it's really easy. It's not hard. It doesn't take up a lot of you don't have to go out and buy any stuff. I'm sure, you know, you have broken jewelry at home, or, you know, this wire gauge only cost me 98 cents at either a Walmart or a craft store or something. So, and it's not a lot. It's 9 feet, or, you know, 2.7 meters of wire. So remember, the bigger the number of the gauge, the thicker the wire. All right, the smaller the number, you'll end up with some really thin wire that's harder to work with, and you know. Okay, all right guys, I hope you enjoyed this Try It Thursday, and give this project a try. And if you do, don't forget to tag me in your project so I can find you at Chronicles of a Crafter. All right, so I'll talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here. I got time, it's clear to see. From up here